come here, let me show you something. And I was like, no, tell her to come out. And he was like, what are you talking about? Let me show you. I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit right here. Tell her to come out. I heard him conversing back, man, you got to come out the closet. And she was like, I don't have no clothes on. And he said, can she have her clothes? Hand her clothes. So he handed her clothes, and she's got her head down. I could tell. She was shameful. I would have been as well. And she passes me, and she had her head down, and she said, I'm sorry. And I said, God bless you.
Who am I as the woman? I am radical, relentless, and real because I am on a mission to heal the souls of God's people. I am a spiritual leader, a life coach, and an author. But most of all, I am a warrior fighting for my legacy. I face so many challenges, shares of betrayal, rejection, abandonment, all that left me wounded mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Yes, life left me broke, busted, and disgusted. But despite all those odds, divorces, emotional damage, as well as despair, I did the work to heal my soul so that I may birth forth miracles and live prosperously. I am not new here. I grew here, and now is your time to grow. I am Dr. Dunamis D, and I am here to guide you on your journey of healing and transformation. Here we are for another episode of the Healing for My Soul podcast, you all. I really hope that you all have been following us, staying on this movement with us, because we are really, really diving deep in this season about what does it look like? Really, what does it look like to heal from betrayal, rejection, abandonment? We just use that acronym as our bra because you know what, every woman got to have a bra on eventually. But we're no longer in training bras, you all. This stuff is getting deeper and deeper and deeper. So for this particular episode, we really, really want to focus on how do we really heal from that pain of betrayal, because it's really real. And I have a beautiful woman here, actually one of my spiritual daughters. And if you've seen the previous podcast, you've seen her before, but now she's going to go deeper into her process, the process of what that looked like. And I don't even realize how long she's been here, but Myesha Booker, how you doing?
I am well.
I do believe it's been, 50 years? No, I'm serious. No, seriously. How long has it been?
6 years.
6 years. 6 years. So before we get into the deep processes, because people fail to realize that when you're healing, you got to go through therapeutic processes. Okay. And I just want to say this, particularly as the host of this particular podcast right now, is that from a coaching perspective, a lot of us want to seek counsel. And counsel is nothing wrong with that. But when you're going through therapeutic processes, it's not necessarily counsel, it's therapy, and it takes you through some deep stuff. Yes. You know, deep stuff. And a lot of folks don't make it. You know what I'm saying? Because they want some quick advice. They want just some suggestions. But therapeutic is really, really going in your soul to bring healing. So how did I forgot how we even encountered. I know it was betrayal, but tell them what happened. Refresh my memory.
Yeah. And as you speaking, I saw the vision of, you know, how you go and get pre-made cookies that are frozen versus getting the dough. That, you know, I wanted the pre-made cookies. I wanted to pull them out, put them in the oven, and they're ready.
And they're ready.
But that's not what you told me. I was, at the time I reached out to you, I was in the basement. And I reached out to you. And the reason how I got to the basement was because my husband at the time of maybe, say we were married for 15 years, I was at work. I worked at a department store, and we had crazy hours. I came home one day early from work, and I did not call him specifically because I wanted to, if there was something to be caught, I wanted to catch it.
Did you think you was going to catch something?
I thought I was going to catch something. I just didn't know I was going to catch that. So I came home early, I never forget this. I put my things down on the island, and the house had like there was it was a kind of a heaviness on the house. Now that I look back at it, it was dark downstairs. So I'll go upstairs and I looked to the immediate right, and my son's doors were closed. So I was like, okay, well, maybe. So I went to my door, and my door was ajar a little bit. And before I opened my door, I saw my daughter, Coy. She was about 2 or 3 at the time, and she was sitting positioned in the middle of the bed as if there were two people. You know, two people sitting, mom and dad sit at the head of the bed, usually to play with the baby. And I was like, wait a minute, something's not right. And nobody was there. It was just her sitting at the middle of the bed. So I opened the door a little bit, and there on the corner of my bed were panties. Now, I got mine on, so I'm just trying to figure out what was really going on. And my husband, Kevin, said, Ma, come here, let me show you something. And I was like, no, tell her to come out. Mm-hmm. And he was like, what are you talking about? Let me show you. I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit right here. Tell her to come out. Mm-hmm. And I heard him conversing back, man, you got to come out the closet. And she was like, I don't have no clothes on. And he said, can she have her clothes? Hand her clothes. Mm-hmm. So he handed her clothes. And
I would have had her come out butt naked. I promise you I would have. But go ahead. That's not my story. This is your story.
She comes out of the closet, and she's got her head down. I could tell. She was shameful. I would have been as well. And she passes me. And I never forget this because it's kind of like it was in slow motion. I never forget she had these light-colored stonewashed jeans on, and she was thick in the thighs. Now, I knew he always was fine, the thick woman. I just wasn't. That wasn't my story, though. I had thick legs, but they weren't that thick. And so she came out the closet, and she had her head down, and she said, I'm sorry. And I said, God bless you. Mm. And she went downstairs, and I'd been crying for 15 years. I was tired of crying. At that point, I was just...
I was numb.
I was numb.
You were numb.
Numb.
Let's just go there.
I was numb. At that point, I was just... that song by, was it Mary J. Blige, I'm Not Gonna Cry. I didn't have any more tears at that point, especially at that juncture. Now, I was a little dignified because 5 years from previously, I would have got a little hood. But that wouldn't have benefited anybody. It wouldn't have benefited. My kids were in the room, my daughter, that really would have benefited anyone. So at that particular time, I said, hey, you're going to have to leave, and... Now, wait a minute. Before
you go any further, I want y'all to be real. Put in that comment, what would you have done? Be real. What would you have done? That same case scenario, because I don't think many of you all probably would have said, you got to leave.
Yeah.
You got to leave. But go ahead on.
Yeah.
I want to engage y'all on this.
And we'll get into this, but the process of that anger, it's like when you see something baking in the oven and you're ready to eat it, and you open the oven and it's not done yet. You're like, oh man, I want that sweet treat. I want that cookie, but it's not ready yet. It wasn't a time in my process to get that angry.
Correct.
And so she left, and he went to Louisiana because that's where he was from. He went to Louisiana and drove home that weekend. And before he even left, my sons and I came together in the very spot that she hid, and we prayed for my husband. I said, we need to pray for your daddy. Because I knew more than anything that I really wanted his soul to go to hell in the handbasket. However, I just knew that we needed some harmony more than we needed anything. A lot of anger and dishevelness wasn't going to do us any good. We had already been through a whole lot, and so as I got myself together, he left, and he wasn't gone very long. Came back, and now at this moment, my parents were about an hour away, so I didn't have any recourse but to share with them what was going on. So now they're livid, everybody's just kind of up in an uproar, and he's reaching out to my mom, and she was like, Kevin, you knew you did it. You didn't the shit that hit the fan. Basically, you didn't did it this time, and so. We went back and forth.
Hey, you all, this is Pastor D, and I know that you have seen me on the Healing for My Soul podcast, particularly as a host. But I want you to know there's so much more about me. Not only am I an author, but I am a publisher. And I published one of the most amazing books as I have captured the heart of so many of my spiritual daughters and compiled this to put it right here in the book, Healing the Heart of a Woman's Soul. I am presenting this to you because I want you to get it. It is nothing like being strengthened by hearing another woman's heart and how she's gone through these processes. What did it take? It will encourage you. So guess what? I want to ship it to you for free when you purchase it. So go to the website, healingformysoulpodcast.com. And please, for me to ship it to you free, put the coupon code podcast. I am looking forward to getting it to you. I'm looking forward to you reading it, and I'm looking forward to you hearing the heart of another woman's soul. But you know what, and I'm just listening to you, and I'm grateful for this podcast because it allows you as well as myself to sit down and just revisit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Revisit how therapeutic process and healing for your soul can get you to communicate it in a way that you wasn't able to communicate it before.
No.
Because we're going to get into the next part of this, you know what I'm saying? Because it sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
And it sounds beautiful, but there was some stuff going on inside of you. And I'm saying that is because, first of all, I really believe that God was already beckoning you and preparing you for healing. See, you have to be prepared for healing. And I pray that this podcast are preparing women all across the globe to even begin their process of healing. You know what I'm saying? But even for your ability at that time to gather your sons and ask her to leave without going off, because it's not mean something wasn't going on down on the inside. It's because you were more so feeling their shame than your passivity. Than your passivity. I want you all to think about it. I want you all to think about it really, really as a woman. If you was that woman in that closet, how would you want another woman to approach you? Because there's no way you would not. Is something going on for even her to come into another woman's house? Does that make sense? Yes. So you felt the pain of another woman. You could have slapped her. You could have did. I'm not saying that wasn't going on. We're going to get to that. But you did not exemplify that because, first of all, the shame of this man being able to go there in his mind, and the shame of this woman coming into another woman's house, another woman's bed. And I could relate to that because I've been there. That's not my story for today, but I could relate to you because I've been there. You see what I'm saying? And how you respond really, first of all, takes your love for Christ to have Christ take over at that moment and not you yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I really, really commend you, but I want people to understand mostly is that healing begins before you even begin healing. You got to be prepared for healing. And so you reached out. I don't know how you discovered Dunamis Woman, myself, or whatever, but let's go to that part because that woman, the healing was definitely needed for her.
It was.
And I believe that you did something in her, as I can relate to, not being in the closet, but being in your shoes, to say, is something going on in me?
You know, I was in the basement. Me and Coy were on our second blow-up bed, the first one he tore to smithereens, because at that particular time, I wasn't budging. Usually I would be up in the bed, back, let me just come, But at that time, it was just something that I was kind of like the end of the road. Reminds me of Boys and Men. I was at the end of the road. I was really, and somebody had told me to watch a different pastor. The pastor I watched said the word dunamis. I Googled the word dunamis, and you came up. The Dunamis Woman Today show came up, and I think Michelle did an episode. Dunamis Woman Today show came up, and I was like, there was just something about what you were saying, and it wasn't churchy. It was something I was drawn to. So I gave you a call. We set up a phone call, and I talked to you, and the first thing you said was, you got to come out of the basement. And I'm thinking, she didn't hear my whole story. And
I didn't say it like that.
No, you didn't say it like that. You get your ass out that basement. I was like, is she a pastor? Hello? So, and that was my first thought.
I'm just going to keep it real because I don't look.
And it was because the message that you gave me was very different from every other message I was getting. Even the way I interpreted the word, because I went to the Bible. I was like, how do wives deal with this? And everybody's advisement was different from yours. And you can't. Not only did you tell me to come out of the basement, but you said to make love to your husband.
And you know why, mine?
Why?
Because I had to do it. And I know it works. Does that make sense? And no human being advised me of that. It was the Holy Spirit himself. It was the Christ inside of me that wants to win a soul at all costs.
And because it cost me something to be here today, just so you owe me. I'm gonna send you my cash app so you can money. I did all kind of tricks to be here today. I digress. But you told me to come out the basement and make it love. And then it worked. It worked. And then I entered the Understanding Your Greatness at that time, and the rest was just kind of like we got together. We prayed, we learned. I was looking for you to do something in him, and it was, but first it had to be done in me.
It had to be done in you.
It had to be done in me first. It had to be done in me first. And so it did.
I want you all to really not just stay tuned right now, but stay tuned for the next episode and the next episode and the next episode. But realistically, the next episode is going to be her and her husband. I'm going to tell you that right now, because the healing that we have to do is not just healing for us. It's healing to win that soul. And that man, after so many years, God, he didn't give you hell, he gave me hell. Oh, we going in on this next episode. He on both of us. Does that make sense? But for him to come forth. And that's the whole vision of healing for my soul, is that we get our souls healed so we can win not only the men and the husbands but in this case it's your husband, but our sons, our daughters, your family, not being broken. Too many broken families, you all. And it's not broken families, it's really broken souls.
Yes.
That we don't seek out for healing. Okay? So we're gonna go into that. We got something for Mr. Booker. But I want you for today to help the women out here to understand, what did that process really look like for you from an internal standpoint? Good deeds. We all commend you. When I told my story on one of the episodes, not the podcast, but one of my television episodes, a lot of women was like, oh, God ain't tell you to go make love to him. I mean, I got bashed, which I loved it because it's called crucifixion for me. But at the end of the day, when it works, it works.
Yes.
When you love like Christ, it works, not love like your flesh. So internally, I know it was some stuff going on.
Yeah.
Tell me what was going on inside of you internally. You did the good outward deed.
Yeah.
But what was happening really on the inside?
Hey, so I know that you love watching this episode, but don't you sometimes forget when the episode drops? I mean, every Saturday at 11 a.m. and you're like, I'm doing something. This is why you need to get a text from us. All I want you to do is text podcast to 404-737-0580, and we're going to text you every time a new episode drops and every time that we have something new coming up that you can learn about early. So text podcast to 404-737-0580 and stay connected to us on the go. Now let's get back to your episode.
Because what happened physically was a reflection of what was going on inside me. Because when he came back home, then I ran. I had all kinds of shoes. I was a runner. I was a track star. I could run 5 miles, 10 miles, because I was used to running. Something didn't go my way. Okay, I'm out of here. And we tried to we looked for Airbnb. We went to a hotel. We got a hotel room, me and my daughter. And we get to the hotel room and the system shuts down. So I had to go back home. and God was like, you got to go back home.
You got to go back.
I couldn't go to my mom's house. I couldn't go to my dad. There was no room for there.
You couldn't even get an Airbnb?
I couldn't even get an Airbnb. I couldn't. And so I had to go back home and I had to face him. And I had to face.
You had to face you.
I had to face me.
You had to face you.
That's the reality of it, because I was playing house and the house was so broken. But I put coats of paint on it. I colored it paint. It was beautiful. But they were cracks.
You just covering up.
I just covering up. And going down to the basement was just another form of covering up.
It was another form. It was the going into the basement was really telling you that you was in the basement of your soul and you didn't want to face nothing else. You didn't want to face nothing else. How often do we adorn ourselves, covering up the cracks within our soul? How often do we adorn our home, covering up the cracks within our soul? How much do we experience the betrayal and you're blaming the other person when God said, I did this for you to see yourself? Yeah. And I'm sure that wasn't the first time of betrayal, but it was the first encounter.
Yes. Yeah. It was the first encounter. Yeah. Because it was so much hidden, so much going on, so much that I couldn't see. You know how you were supposed to be on time for an event and you get there and you're too late. You were like, well, where are all the people at?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And there have been times when I got a little bit here, I saw a little bit there, but it was not enough for me to be like, aha. But this was the aha. And I really believe it was God's time that I had to really face me. Yeah. And it's not, Myesha is not altogether lovely. So I could say, I've been married for 15 years And that stuff was going to hell in a handbasket.
Oh, how much stuff have been going on for 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 years. And you got to now deal with the cracks. And yet we want to still put over a mask. Oh, I've been married for 4 years, 5 years, 15 years. And you really think somebody is impressed. And maybe they are. You know what I'm saying? But for me, being a kingdom cardiologist and knowing how to go into the soul, I know there's some cracks there that we as women predominantly just covered up.
Yes.
At our own expense.
Yes. Yep. At our own expense.
At our own expense. And not only do you have your stuff, but you're covering up somebody else's stuff. Yeah. You're covering up his stuff. You're covering up your kids' stuff. You're covering up, because from a spiritual perspective, you can't get away. You can't get away. I had to not go into the cracks. Let me just say this. I want you all to picture your soul. And I want you to really do a diagram right now. And really focus and draw how many cracks are really there. And I know that because when I heard your voice, I'd never seen your face. When I heard your voice, I could hear all the cracks and all the damages that was long before. Yes. And I don't have time for no religious astute scriptures, you know what I'm saying, to give you at that moment, because you was trying to do that yourself.
Yeah, I was.
Oh my God. I mean, how many scriptures you have posted on your mirror? I was like, if you don't take that stuff down, because we're just using scriptures to try to cover up the cracks. And because I'm a lover of his word, now that's my pet peeve right there, because you cannot just take something so pure and so holy and just cover up your stuff. It's a disadvantage to his suffering, his crucifixion, all that he had to go through for us to be healed. Does that make sense? So now I had to go straight to the places that nobody went before.
Yes.
Get your ass out that basement, out the dungeon, the abyss, the hell that you're already going through.
And it was just an outward manifestation of what was really what I was trying to hide. And at one point you did tell me, you said, don't you read another word in the Bible? I was like, well, I'm thinking, what am I going to do now? Because I had to begin to
process you.
I had to.
You had to process
I had to. Because what I was doing wasn't, what I was trying to do, inviting them to church and this and that, let's go here to marriage counseling, let's do this and this, that, and to have another person sit across from him and point the finger or say da, 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 da. He was already persecuted himself.
He was already persecuting himself.
And so.
He was already persecuting himself. And if you look at the episode of last season, when I was talking about the black man in the church, he was already persecuted in the church. Yes. Nobody's never really tended, how many of us are so betrayed and damaged before we even get married?
Yes.
And many people think marriage is just going to cover up this stuff. Why do you think divorce is the highest rate, particularly in the black community and the black Christian faith? Because our souls need healing. Yes. Sex doesn't heal souls. No, it doesn't. Money doesn't heal souls. Marriage doesn't heal souls. Right. Y'all put that in the comment. I need you to hear that. I need you to understand that. Because we're going from shoes to panties to shoes, from panties to bras. Yes. Does that make sense? And every time a man go to another bra, he getting more betrayal, he getting more rejection, he getting more abandonment to cover up his stuff using you.
Using me, yeah. And I was helping him because I was trying to play mama, wife, housewife, hoe. I was trying to do it all. Because when I thought that, okay, well, maybe he needs more sex, and I tried to be that for him. And then when I tried to be that for him, lo and behold, the female that came out of my closet was sending him pictures. That's when I went off. I got a little ghetto.
That's okay.
He was like, "Ma, what are you doing?" I'm tired. I was tired. I was tired at that time
because you was tired of trying to continue to fix his soul.
I was.
That's not our place.
It's not. I didn't know that.
That's not our place. Because your soul needed to be fixed. Yes. Yep. Your soul needed to be fixed from daddy's betrayal.
Yes. Yeah.
We ain't gonna get into that.
Not this episode. Come podcast.
Stay with the podcast. Yes. I'm sure she'll be back. Okay. You know what I'm saying? But we look at them as daddy.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So that internal process that you were going through, the anger and all that stuff, what did it look
You
like?
know what?
That you
And it didn't reveal itself until years later. Can you imagine? I've been going through some processes, some therapeutic processes, because you would not allow me to just pick up the Word of God and read it and understand and thinking that was going to heal my soul, because that wasn't it. I had to go through some practical application, and I had to go through some repetition over and over and over again, because you always say repetition is necessary where application is lacking.
Yes,
or
it is.
Application.
Repetition is necessary when application is lacking.
Yeah, and
you tell me you know how to apply it, then I'll tell you got it.
Yeah, and I was playing got it, and so as that revealed where I was down in the basement, I realized that, you know what, it's time for me to do some work on me. I had to really let him be him, do him, and I had to work on me. And Dunamis Woman showed me, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. Being in the mirror and looking at myself and understanding that, and I couldn't point the finger at him anymore.
You couldn't point the finger. And that would have been an ideal time. That's why I asked you all to put in the comment, what would you have done? Because I promise you, most women wouldn't have even remotely stayed. They would have burnt up the house. It would have been awaiting to exhale.
Yes.
They could have found every reason to project their pain on him.
Yeah.
And how many times do we project our pain on them?
Yes.
I can't do anything about man. All I can do is about who I am as woman.
Yes.
As the womb of man.
Yes.
I don't think we really understand the essence and the power of woe man. And if you really look in the word, God didn't call us woe man. Man called us woe man. Wow, this is my womb. This is a part of me now. This is the bone of all of my bones. That means this is the strength of all the strength that I have. This is a strength that was taken out of me that I need to see her as myself.
Yeah.
And this is why you can go from pants to pants, pockets to pockets, penis to penis, and you don't see yourself.
Don't see yourself here. Yeah.
What's the three things? Give me one thing, because one thing can become three things with you that you really discovered about yourself in this internal process that you never saw before.
Hey, we know that you are doing some amazing processes of healing, but we want to invite you to draw closer into our Dunamis Woman University. That is the place to be, to really dig deeper and to discover who you are as the woman and go through a journey of your healing. Ma, would you have something to speak about, DW?
You know what? The healing power of God is all at work in Dunamis Woman University. That's where you do the work. That's why we call it a university, because we can talk all day long. We can tell about this, tell about that. But now it's time for you to do the work. Dunamis Woman University is there to take you to another level, but most of all, for God to go deeper within your heart, your mind, and your soul.
Yes, so the doors are open. Just go to www.dunamiswomanuniversity.com and enroll today and start the transformation that you need.
I was hiding. I was hiding from me. That I was hiding from me, because truth be told, I came into this relationship jacked up. I came into this relationship with abandonment issues. I came into this relationship with promiscuity and procrastination. I came with all of it. All this did was magnify what was already going down inside of me, because I was drawn to me. And so I was hiding, and I tried to cover it up in so many ways.
Yeah. I want you to look in that camera. Because have you had a chance to speak to her who was in your closet?
No.
You haven't? Okay. I don't know who the her is, and I don't know if she may ever watch, but I do know the Holy Spirit can lead and guide where he wants, because he led and guided you here, and he led and guided you here. But I want you to now take this moment and opportunity as you have embarked upon healing, and if you can do it over again, I think you would do it the same.
I would.
Speak to her, thanking her.
You know, lady, I thank you. I thank you for being the same hurt little girl at the time that I was, because the reason why I was able to bless you or say those words to you is because I was that. I was you, and I understand. And I forgive you. And I love you. I love you. And I thank you. Thank you for being a part of my process and a part of my journey, because it has saved generations to come.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she didn't break up your family. She saved your family.
She did. She did. She did. She did.
Most people will allow that to break up their family. But she caused your husband to be resurrected
She did.
from the dead, the dead places in his soul. She caused your family to mend and still on the mending process.
Yes.
She caused you all to become more solid for Christ.
Yes.
And not just sitting there and reading devotional and everybody was just in pain and suffering silently.
Yes.
It's a blessing
Yeah.
that she not only brought healing to your soul, but she brought healing to the soul of your family.
She gave me a voice.
She gave you a voice.
She gave me a voice.
She gave you a voice. You know, I want to say many of us would judge, but we have to shift our paradigm, and that's what healing does. It allows you to shift your paradigm and see things from a whole nother view that most people won't think. Most people won't even give the opportunity. You had to catch her.
Yes.
In order for you to heal. That coming home early was not by happenstance. You thought you was finna catch something and you caught it.
I did catch it.
You caught it. You caught healing. You caught yourself. You caught the fact that God want to set you up, and he did.
He did.
I don't know where you are at this point in your life. I don't know what your experience has been by betrayal, but this story I can relate to so much because it happened to myself. I'm not going to go into all the details, but I can tell you that the healing power of God is real. It's all about who we are as women. One woman set her up and another woman came and got her caught up into where God has for her. If we don't stick together, who will? Yes. Men can only do what you allow them to do. And I don't no longer allow anyone to take me out of who I really am. Do you? And as a dunamis woman, as a woman who's on this healing journey, we have to make a decision that we got to do us. We can't put it all on them. We got to take responsibility. And to take the responsibility mean I have to have the ability to respond and not react. I thank you for joining us. Stay tuned, because next week you're going to hear the story of not only Myesha Booker, but Kevin Booker, who have now come together and they're on a different path, on a different journey. So in closing, put in that comment, I thank God for my enemies, because it's my enemies that causes me to heal and to prosper. I'm Pastor D. Have a good one.